Hi, everyone. Lucinda here. Hello, hello. How's your week going, you guys? Let me tell you about mine. This virus. It's the Grinch that stole Christmas. I mean, really. So I had an incredible ski trip planned with my fabulous fiance, one of my very good friends. And oh my God, let me tell you, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to go. And unfortunately, things have shifted. And, we're not going. We canceled our trip. And well, why did you cancel your trip, Lucinda? Well, why do you think we canceled our trip? Because, and again, everybody, I think a lot of the stress is being created by all these, differences of opinions about what people should do. And the bottom line is no one knows what someone else should do or what's best for someone else. But at the end of the day, you have to make decisions about parties, whether you're having the party or you're going to a party, if you're going to attend, whether or not you're going to get vaccinated, whether or not you're going to get the booster. You have to make the decision about whether or not you're going to take that fabulous ski trip that you planned with your fiance. And what we've seen happen, and I'm not a doctor, but thank God I'm dating one. I'm actually engaged to one. He's adorable, and he's going to be joining us in a little bit to answer some of your questions about this new variant, because there are so many questions. And, it's not that he knows everything, but he's very bright, and he is a doctor, and he specializes in COVID just as a result of the work he's doing lately. And he keeps himself very informed. So he's going to join us in a little bit so he can answer some of your questions. But what's happening to all of us is we're going through this together. So no one's not struggling with this unless they're just kind of, oblivious to the whole thing. But the bottom line is we all have to make decisions. Some of us are changing our holiday plans. Some of us, all of a sudden at the last minute, we're saying, maybe I shouldn't go to that party. Someone just called me right before I got on the call, and they said, I'm supposed to have dinner with 6 couple friends. 3 of them have not been vaccinated. What should I do? And, that's a hard question because it's really your decision what to do. But the person that asked me happened to be pregnant. And I said, well, talk to your doctor, because more than likely your doctor would advise you to not be with people who have not been vaccinated. But again, and that's where this controversy and conflict comes into play, because people are actually getting offended if you ask them if they've been vaccinated, or if they've gotten the booster. And so I think it's a very turbulent, tricky situation, and it's just not about fear of this variant. It's also, and the virus. It's the anxiety of feeling like you're going to be in conflict with someone that you don't agree with, because either you're vaccinated or you're not vaccinated. And now you've got all these holiday events coming up. Maybe family members are coming to stay with you and they haven't gotten a booster and you did. And it's just really, controversial, and everybody's kind of got to do their own thing. But what I'm going to talk about tonight, and then Murray's going to join us to talk about Omicron and the reality of what we know, because as I said, he's a doctor. He has done the research for his own work. So he's got some information to share with you. I wouldn't necessarily say it's answers. You've got to come up with your answers yourself. But what I want to talk to you about, and I love to go out there and just find something different and research, things in a little bit different way with a different twist. So the holiday season can be filled with a lot of mixed emotions, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. And some of we start out and maybe we have this anticipation and excitement, but it can quickly turn to stress and anxiety and even depression and loneliness. We're not going to focus on that. But what I want to do is talk about some of the things you can do so that you aren't so stressed and aren't so anxious, particularly during this whole, pandemic experience, and that you could actually enjoy these holidays, because Christmas is a very special time, and it really doesn't matter whether you're Jewish, Muslim, or Christian. I think everyone has gone through the years appreciating the energy of the holiday and the lights and just the Christmas spirit. As a matter of fact, I just made a list of things that I think we all share at the holiday time. Let me find it. Oh, the energy, the decorations, the music of the holidays, the hustle and bustle, people out and about, holiday greetings, making cookies. These are a few of my favorite things. Wrapping presents, the smell of the Christmas tree, your favorite Christmas candle, choosing gifts for people, making gifts for people, giving the gifts to people. I get so excited about the gifts that I got, and I can't wait for the people, that I love to unwrap them. And I try to make them about their personality. And now I've got a little 20-month-old grandson, and I'm so excited to share Christmas with him. There's a certain chill in the air. I'm sure there is if you live, in Ohio or the Midwest, but even here in California, there's a chill in the air, and it invites you to wear cozy clothes and have a fire in the fireplace, and you want warm hugs from people and hot chocolate and fabulous food, and from brisket to turkey and stuffing and pie. And friends and family and fun. Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year, and we're supposed to be wallowing in it and embracing the energy of it. And yet here we are wiping our brow, and we're going, oh no, here we go again. It's like a bad dream. Deja vu. I've heard that, and it's kind of true. I mean, here my daughter is getting ready to have a baby, and ironically, when she had her first baby, they were wondering if her husband was going to be able to come to the hospital. I couldn't go to the hospital. We had a baby shower we had to cancel. And now here she is, 7 months pregnant. We're going through the same thing all over again. And it's stressful, and it's anxiety producing. And I think the most important thing to realize is that we're all in this together. So please feel free to throw your questions up here on the screen, and hopefully I'll be able to see them all. And I will give some of them to Murray, and he's going to answer them probably before you ask them anyway. But so when you look at some of the studies that are out about Christmas, there's a lot of stress associated with Christmas. In fact, the American Psychological Association says that 38% of the people who just are experiencing holidays this year say their stress and depression and anxiety has increased dramatically. In fact, the National Alliance of Mental Health said that of those people that suffer with anxiety and depression, 64% say that it's, significantly more, I guess I would say, intense this year than previous years, partially because they get anxious anyway around Christmas because of their high expectations. And it's also because of COVID, and we're all sitting around wondering how to manage COVID and how to manage this infection and how to manage the disagreements that we might be in with family and friends about vaccines and who's going to attend what and how we're going to stay safe. I mean, it's really controversial, and it's really tough. So expectations about what we think this time of year should look like. And I'm guilty of this, you guys, the perfect family, the perfect children, the perfect sister and brother, the perfect mother and father, loving families, perfect Christmas Eves, perfect Christmas mornings, and nothing's perfect. And so rather than striving to achieve some kind of unrealistic holiday experience, the best thing you can do is find ways to, this is my favorite word of the holiday, present. Okay, not surprising. Presence. It all works. But to be present, to be the present. So to be present, to find ways to really listen to your body when it's telling you you're overdoing it. Listen to your mind when it's telling you it's too much, you're stressed out, or you shouldn't go. I'm going to go through some little steps that I think will be helpful. And prioritize your mental and physical well-being. So you can actually feel in good spirits, and so you don't feel pressured and pushed to do things you don't want to do. And I think that's one of the things we're going to experience this year, probably more than previous years, is that pressure to do things we may not want to do, or we don't know if we feel safe doing because of the virus. And no one can answer that but you. You can call your doctor, you can call your sister, you can call your mother. Lord knows everybody's calling me, and say, what do you think? And we can all tell you what we think, but at the end of the day, and I love some of the steps I'm going to discuss here, it's up to you. So first, don't feel pressured to overcommit. when you're planning your holiday activities this year, prioritize your good health and your mental well-being. Undercommit. And I can't stress that enough. And I love this one. More no's than yes this year. Say no, no, and ask yourself, you know what, if this is questionable, if I'm wondering if I should do it, don't do it. Just say no. Say no to plans with people who might negatively impact you or stress you out. Ask yourself this: will this activity make me feel better when I've done it or when I've left? Or am I going to go home and worry that maybe I got COVID? Maybe I shouldn't have hung out with those people, because it's not worth it. So just say no. If it's questionable, say no. Keeping a balanced diet right now, too, is extremely important. And don't let go of your exercise regimen, because all of those things are going to keep you stabilized. They're going to keep you feel strong and empowered. The other thing you want to do is give your body the fuel and exercise it needs this holiday season, because we tend to over everything. And I made my little list here. We overindulge, we overeat, we overdrink, we over socialize. We're overstimulated, we're over emotional, we're overexcited, we're overly sensitive. And we can start with the D's. We can be depressed and disappointed and discouraged and sitting around feeling kind of trapped in this whole, virus situation. So more than likely, you're going to have a little more stress and anxiety and even depression and sadness. My clients are calling me saying, I don't know what's wrong. I just feel kind of sad and down. Well, of course you are. Maybe you've canceled that vacation, as I did. Maybe you've canceled a holiday party. Maybe you're feeling anxious and uncertain about, relatives coming to visit you now that this variant is spreading so rapidly. So all of that can cause you to feel a little more stressed and a little more anxious. So getting back to give yourself, this is so important, give yourself fuel. Try to really minimize the junk food, try to minimize the drinking, try to minimize, you're probably not going to be sleeping as well. So really take care of your body, drink lots of water, eat healthy, and then give your family and loved ones and friends and yourself a healthy place to gather. It's one thing to say, you know what, I don't believe that this virus is that serious. People aren't getting that sick, but there's more truth to that issue than you think. And Marie will be talking to us about that. But if you're going to get together with friends, and if you're going to go out to eat, try to do it in open areas. Try to avoid closed-in spaces. And that's just give yourself and your family and your loved ones places to get together and gather that feel safe. Follow the current CDC and state guidelines to ensure your holiday gatherings are a safe place, so that when people come to visit, maybe you're going to be out on the patio, or maybe you're going to limit the people that are coming on Christmas Eve. I know I've done this. One of the things we're doing, and again, this is all an individual thing, is, we're going to do those quick COVID tests for the small group of people that are coming for Christmas Eve. And if you can get your hands on them, that's a thing to do, because at least that'll give you some sense of safety. It's okay for you to ask the people that are attending if they've been vaccinated, if that's important to you. And it's okay if you're not vaccinated, if you don't want to ask people. But then that becomes complicated, because if you have other people coming to your house, you have to ask yourself, how responsible am I to make everyone feel safe? And that includes the people who are vaccinated. So it's complicated. So do what you can if you're having the party, or if you're inviting people to dinner, to provide a situation and a place that is a healthy place to gather. All right, and this is key. Manage your expectations. The fantasy of holidays where, the whole family gets along and everybody's happy, and, everybody's in a good mood, and everyone is, getting the right gift for Christmas or whatever, that's not realistic. People will have issues. Loneliness and confrontation are common during the holidays. There will be family members who are going to irritate you and stress you out. And so what can you do when this happens? Step back, underreact, lower your expectations. This is so important, and stay calm. And My fiance is an expert at that. And stay in the moment. I go back to the present. Okay. If you could just stay in the moment on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and maybe your sister's obnoxious, and maybe your brother drinks too much, and maybe your cousin's whatever, a bad cook. But you know what? How lucky are you that you have a brother and a cousin and a sister and a mother that irritates you? I don't have any of that. And I would give anything to have any of my siblings around, and a mother. And if I don't care how much they irritated me, so maybe they're the Christmas present. And so if you can just relax and be grateful and stay in gratitude that you're here at all, and that they're here at all, and that you have the opportunity to get together this Christmas with these people, and that, you still have people in your life who love you. Okay. So rather than expect change, seek out the interactions and memories that are positive for you. Lower your expectations, change your internal narrative, so that that's a power that you have and you can do in any moment. And it will completely change how you experience the holidays. How do I do that? You go in with gratitude, and you go in saying, you know what? This isn't a perfect family, but it's a family. And I'm just glad that I'm here, and none of them died of COVID, and we're all still here to share the holidays. And maybe it's going to be different than I thought it was going to be, but you know what? I'm still so grateful to have these people in my life. So remember to give yourself a break. Remember to put yourself first to some degree. Remember to take a breath and take inventory of people who take care of you. And remember to build a community of support in your life at this time. The people that really make you feel good, the people that make you feel good about yourself, surround yourself with those people, because this is a time to embrace, this is a time to embrace love and feelings of joy and peace. And that's what this time of the year is all about. So how do we do this, Lucinda Bassett? Well, there's this great book called From Panic to Power. And I just want to share with you, you're searching for the magic key that will unlock the door to the source of your power. And yet you have the key in your own hands. And you may make use of it the moment you learn how to control it. It's your thoughts. It's up to you how you're going to react. It's up to you how you're going to be affected by everyone around you. What if you could control your anxiety this Christmas? What if you had a wonderful, magical holiday experience? What if you surrounded yourself with people who loved you? What if you ended up giving someone something that you didn't even expect to give, and it changed your whole day? What if you stopped feeling, scared and anxious about the virus, and you just did what you could to protect yourself and stepped into the holidays with enthusiasm and gratitude? What if you enjoyed the whole experience? What if you could actually enjoy the flight or the travel and go safely and feel energized and enjoy the experience? Maybe you're going somewhere. That's another thing. For example, we're not getting on a plane and flying to a ski resort, but I was just looking at options of driving somewhere where there might be snow, where we could maybe rent a house. So maybe look at things from a different perspective and find a different way to enjoy the holiday that might make you feel more safe and make your family feel more safe. What if you stopped worrying about everything? What if you ended up having one of the most special Christmases you've ever had, because you're coming from a place of gratitude and appreciation like never before in your life? Because that's where you should be coming from after everything we've all been through for the last 2 years. So I suggest to you, rise above it. And whether you're Christian or not, one of my clients said to me, "I'm so sorry, I cannot see all your questions on here right now. I wish I could. I'm sure there's a bunch of them here. Type your message down here if you have a question for me or Murray. He's going to join us in a minute." But someone said to me that what Christmas is all about is obviously it's Jesus Christ, and so I want to just suggest that during this holiday season, rise above it all. Go to a higher version of yourself. And when someone upsets you, step back and take a breath and don't react, and stay calm and get beyond it and get over it and get present. There's that word again. Get grateful and be in the moment be the present this year. And that's so important. And I want to say, like today, I ran around in between my coaching calls. I happened to run into some people this week that were going through some difficult times. And I am lucky enough to be able to offer people my books. It's not much, okay? But I ran around and signed a few books and passed them out to random people and ended up running into people who really needed to talk. And it was my way of giving what I could. And I felt so good when I got back in the car, like, wow, I have the ability to give people a way to make them feel better and to make them feel safe. And what a gift. And so, that was something for me today. It really made me feel good. Is there any way you can do that? Maybe you can bake cookies. Maybe you can make someone a stuffed chicken, maybe just stop over and share a glass of wine with a neighbor. So this is such a great time of year. I encourage you to step outside tonight or tomorrow and get caught up in the music and the hustle and the bustle and the holiday greetings and wrapping presents and the smell of the tree and all the things I talked about earlier, because the truth of the matter is it's a really, really special time of year. And and Murray and I were talking about this the other night. What makes this so special? Well, what makes it so special is everybody just kind of slows down. A lot of businesses close down, calm down, slow down. A lot of people don't work, they travel, and everything's kind of peaceful. And people seem to have a sparkle in their eye, and everybody wants to greet you. And it's just a nice time of year. So I think you need to get out there and wallow in that energy, that holiday energy. So with that, I'm going to invite Murray to join and turn on his mic and his camera. And I'm going to bring him in. Let's see if I can add pin. There you are. Hi. So this is Murray Lappy, and he is my fiance. He's gorgeous. I'll embarrass him, but anyway. And he's a doctor, and he's at the present time, still the medical director for COVID Unified, the whole process of testing people. And it's been quite an overwhelming task for the last year and a half, but he's made it part of his job to be well informed about COVID. And so Murray, I would just like to give you the opportunity to give us an update about this particular variant and how you see it playing out in the next couple of weeks for the Christmas holiday, because people are misinformed. Some people think they do know what's happening, but from your perspective, what's going on and what are we going to see happening in the next 2 weeks?
Sure. It's so nice to be here. All these beautiful people and faces. Well, this is a unique situation because this particular variant, the Omicron, my cat's going to jump up on me.
That's okay. I love your cat. Get him up there. Got the cutest cat, you guys. Hope you get to see it.
Yeah, he'll be up here in a second. The Omicron variant is so transmissible that it's doubling every 1.5 to 2 days. And just a few days ago, the percentage of new cases that was Omicron was about 7%, and now it's over 70%. And in some parts of the country today, it's 95%. So within the next 2 days, nearly 100% of all new cases, and will be well over 150,000 cases a day, will be Omicron. So the prevalence is going to really take off. The good news appears that for most people who are vaccinated and boosted and otherwise healthy, this appears to be a much milder form of the disease. One of the things that we're learning is that because of the mutations in the spike protein, which is that part of the virus that attaches to cells in our body, it appears that it's more susceptible to the upper airways as opposed to deep lung tissue. And so the infection tends to be more in the throat and
not in the lungs.
And not in the lungs. If you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, it will spread. But one of the interesting things that we have just found out is that because it starts in the throat, as opposed to the nose of the earlier variants, we're getting a lot of false negative tests early after infection. And so if someone gets a negative, especially a rapid test, before they're symptomatic, you can't completely rely on those results. If you're going to get tested and you can get a PCR lab-based test, that would be best.
So Murray, let me just jump in and ask you some things that I know everybody happened to be thinking, a lot of people anyway, is there are a lot of people that think that the Omicron virus isn't that serious. Therefore, your exposure isn't that concerning. And I want you to speak to that, because I know if you're vaccinated, and especially if you have the booster, your chances of getting extremely ill or even hospitalized are probably minimal. But if you're not vaccinated, what are the chances? Is there a chance that the Omicron variant could put you in the hospital if you're not vaccinated?
Absolutely. We just don't know yet what percentage of infected, unvaccinated people will end up in the hospital and have serious disease, because we've only just been dealing with this for a relatively short amount of time. Now, we look at Denmark and South Africa and some of their data, and their hospitals, have filled up, and it's, largely unvaccinated. So this is going to be really two different diseases. It's going to be one kind of disease for the vaccinated population that's relatively minor in almost all cases, and potentially serious for some percentage of the unvaccinated, but we just don't know what percentage yet.
And what about people who are at risk, like people who have immune deficiency disease or pregnant women?
Anyone at risk should take extra precautions and take this seriously.
And so people who are planning trips to places where they're going to be in crowded restaurants, crowded environments, and do you think it's okay to go ahead and take that trip if you're vaccinated? And I know it's a tough question.
It's an individual decision.
Right. Yeah.
It depends on a lot of individual factors, whether you have, risk factors, whether you're around people who are more susceptible and at risk. And, you have to measure that individually. Don't forget, in restaurants, when people are unmasked and mostly indoors, that's probably one of the settings that's most likely to transmit the disease.
So how long do you think we're going to be going through this? Is this going to go till March, till April? What's going to make this subside? Or how are we going to eventually feel a sense of confidence that we can get back out into the world? Do you think that things are going to end up closing down again? I'm seeing what I'm seeing on the news and from what the president's saying, that's not going to happen. But when are we going to feel safe again? When is this going to start to feel like it's somewhat under control?
Well, you feel much safer if you're vaccinated and boosted. If you look at last winter's surge, it started to end in March. And that's partially because now we're going outdoors again. And, there are seasonal variations in the virus. So I would expect we'll probably have a similar length of this surge, the peak of this surge will surpass all of the previous surges because of the transmissibility.
Right. We have a question from Bridget. What if you're not vaccinated, but you wear a good mask and take all the extra precautions? How safe are you?
It depends on what the setting is. A good mask is an N95 mask that is well sealed, and you're in a setting that is relatively low risk, preferably outdoors or well ventilated, not in very close contact with anyone who may be infected.
And it's difficult. It's difficult now, and I don't mean to interrupt you, because this is so infectious, because it's so easily contracted. It just seems like there's so much of it out there. So even if we've all heard stories now of people who are vaccinated and have the booster and still get COVID.
Right. Yeah. This variant has escaped the immunity from the vaccine and the booster and previous COVID infections.
That was another question from Allison. What if you've had COVID within the last 4 months?
You are only slightly better off statistically, but nowhere near fully protected against the new variant.
And if you've had COVID, because this is a different variant, you can get it again. That's what we're seeing.
Right.
And so that's part of the problem. So the thick cloth masks, are they no good? You're saying the N95s are the best masks. What about these cloth masks everybody's been walking around?
That question was about unvaccinated, and the safest mask to wear is the N95 mask. In certain situations, a cloth mask is probably adequate, but to be most protected, you would want to wear an N95 mask.
And that mask protects you, or does it protect the person across from you?
Both.
Okay. And the other thing that we're seeing is our hospitals are filling up here in LA. And I am hearing they're filling up with the non-vaccinated people. But then what's that do? Because I know, for example, one of the things that I've heard that's helpful is the monoclonal antibody treatment for people who do get COVID. And yet what we're seeing now is you can't get in to get the treatment because people who are not vaccinated are taking up hospital beds. Is that true?
Yeah, starting, really in the last couple of days, the demand for monoclonal treatment, for testing, has far outpaced the supply. And so there are waiting lists for everything. There are long lines for testing. The labs are running at full capacity. Most of the rapid tests can't be found. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because the absolute number of people who are infected is going through the roof.
And I think it's important that everyone understands that we're all struggling with this. We were supposed to take a vacation that we canceled, and it's very disappointing, and it's frustrating. However, again, it goes back to, and I love this. Marie talks a lot about risk reward, and it goes back to say no. If you really don't know, if it's questionable, like I bet I've had 5 people today ask me, and I just don't know if I should go because, it's a friend's party and 3 of the people there aren't vaccinated. And I don't know if I should go. Well, then don't go. If you're not sure and it's questionable, just say no, and say no with love and kindness. And if somebody gets mad at you because you feel scared, that's not your problem. That's kind of their problem. I mean, I think everyone has a right to do what they need to do to feel safe and to feel that you're protecting your loved ones. I have a daughter that's 7 months pregnant. I'm going to do everything I can not to expose myself to people who might be carrying that virus. And I certainly don't know who they are, but if I can certainly say to someone, are you vaccinated? Do you have the booster? And they can say, no, I don't. And then it's my choice whether or not I'm willing to take the risk. We have another question from Georgia. I'm staying home for the next couple of weeks with just a few walks and hikes close by. This will turn into an endemic by the middle of next year. There has to be a shift at some point.
That's a good point. And I think that's probably a good course of action. And we'll get through this. This variant could actually end up being a real positive shift in the pandemic, and it may displace more serious variants. It already has displaced. Here's my cat.
Okay, everybody, that's Roy.
That's right.
And when Murray and I met, he had this cat walking around, the most amazing cat. Roy, it's Malibu Chick, Roy.
Yes.
And I said, oh, you have a cat. And I had just put my cat Bella of 20 years down. It broke my heart. This was during COVID last, 2 years ago. And I said, you have a cat? And he said, yes. And I said, what's your cat's name? And he said, Roy. And that's my dad's name who's passed. And I thought, oh, I'm supposed to marry this man. Anyway. Well, if you have any other questions, now would be the time to ask. But I think, Murray, the question that I have that you might have some perspective on is what we're seeing is this huge divide between people who are vaxxers versus non-vaxxers. And, the belief from some that this whole thing is a political issue and it's actually breaking up friendships and hurting relationships and causing family arguments. Do you have any suggestions on how to handle that? Because the truth of the matter is, statistically, you and I don't even know how to say this without frustrating people, but vaccinated people are probably less likely to get the virus. And they would probably survive it better if they're vaccinated. And if you take it to the next step and you get the booster, it's been proven that you're much safer. And yet you have the right to not get vaccinated if you don't want to get vaccinated. What is your take on that?
Well, it's hard to judge
right
other people for the decisions that they make, their personal decisions. It's unfortunate that they're not contributing to the community benefit that vaccination, bestows on other people. By your getting vaccinated, you're actually not only helping yourself, but you're helping your community. And so that's kind of the sad part of that.
We have a question from Jody. Do we have to get another booster shot after 6 months if we've had a booster?
I think that will be likely.
Okay.
Since, we don't know what the durability and how long the booster will provide immunity, but the first series gave us only 6 months of immunity, and it's possible the booster will only, give us another 6 months.
Well, I think at this point, everyone is in the same boat. We are all wondering what the next 6 months is going to look like, what the holidays are going to look like. There's certainly going to be a surge because of the holidays. Some of you have, including us, some of you have changed your holiday plans or your travel plans. And again, that's all personal choice. I think at this point, the best thing you can do is do what feels right to you. Mary, you have any last thoughts you want to share?
Just remember that the enemy is the virus.
Right.
We are in a battle with the virus, and let's try not to be in a battle with each other. That is not going to get us through this.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Now I'm going to
Right
try to
there.
figure out how to put, here we go. Okay. So that was coming from someone who, really understands the virus. And he's a scientist, he's a doctor, and more than that, he's just a really good man. And he's just here to try to give us all some thank you, Murray, everyone's saying, and it means a lot to me that he would even join us. And we're going to do a breath session, but this will be my last Zoom call until the first of the year. And since we're not going skiing, yes, and he is on the front lines, and he's done an incredible job with LA Unified. I know they've really appreciated him. He's kind of the calm of the storm, the eye of the storm, and he just keeps everybody calm. And he's a very confident person, and he's been very good for me. I want to encourage all of you to continue to stay grounded and stay grateful, and listen to my podcast over the next couple of weeks. Let Go with Lucinda. Some of this will be available on the podcast. We have another one next week. And also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. We're going to do some breath work, but I just found this little prayer I want to share with you, kind of as my Christmas gift to you. I've said a prayer for you, Christmas, as Christmas Day grows near, that God will bless you richly throughout the coming year. I didn't ask him to send you gifts of worldly wealth, but I prayed that he would fill your life this year with peace and joy and health. I ask that you would know love and be comforted in strife and have a loved and abundant life. So let's celebrate this Christmas. It's one of the happiest of days. And most of all, I hope that you will know love in so many ways.